morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is R&R Sugarloaf Farm. I am not firing on all cylinders this morning. Last night was the premium sale. It went great. We are back home for right now, checking on all the goats here and everything, and we are all exhausted, heat exhausted. We try to drink water with these really high heat temps that we've got, but in the mornings our muscles, and I'm talking all of us, the kids, me and my husband, all of us, where our muscles are just cramping with exhaustion. And it's not from doing like excessive walking or anything, because for the most part we are chilling out in front of fans during the day up there. It is absolute heat exhaustion from the dehydration, from just sweating everything that we're putting into our bodies out. So I'm out here this morning checking on the herd. I came out, it was kind of weird. I noticed that we had some goats out in our backyard. So I was like, uh-oh. So anyway, I'm out here checking on them, and I have realized that we are really overdue on our mowing. So goats do not, they do not eat everything, so that is a myth. There's a lot of stuff that they don't eat, and like this stuff is just regular old grass, which is great for the yard and everything, but the goats won't eat it. They don't like it. And then of course our Permillo mint, which is just overrun in our pasture. And then we've got some ragweed and some other weeds that are kind of in the fence line areas. So yes, myth. Goats will not eat everything you put in front of them. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, with being so hot and everything. So with the high temps and everything, you want to make sure that, regardless, you want to make sure that your goats, no matter what the weather is, you want to make sure that they have fresh water. So the last couple of days since we've been gone, the trees have started to shed their leaves, and it's getting in all of the water sources. So there's Marble. That's another thing. Marble and his sister Flower over there, they're past time to wean, and they're ready to go to their new homes as soon as we pull them off of their mama, which I think that she has started to kind of wean them because their little bellies aren't as poofy anymore. They don't have a real strong milk belly anymore. Okay, so, and if you see way out here, there's Clarabelle with her calf Annabelle, who is still nursing, which she's plenty big enough to wean, but that's a dairy cow for you. Okay, so as I was saying with the weather and nutrition and everything, always make sure that your goats have access to fresh water, no matter what day of the week, what time of day, what's going on with the weather, time of year, or anything like that. So as far as food, dairy goats need access to hay 24/7. All goats, whether they're dairy or meat, they need access 24/7 to hay. And I highly suggest a few quirks from our learning experience for y'all on the do's and don'ts of feeding hay. So, like pros and cons to it. So we have these little makeshift feeders that, like, one's over in the buck pen there, one's right here in the doe pen. They hold 1 to 2 square bells, which is great. The only problem with that is that the last 2 years for us, because we've had really rough summers, we've had some droughts to where there haven't been a whole lot of square bells available, even for just mixed hay. And so we have been relying on feeding round bells, which that's okay too, except there's some pros and cons to it. And as far as the feeders for the square bells, if you're going to have them outside like we do, make sure that you put like some sort of top on them to protect them for whenever it rains. Our girls will go through the square bells before that happens. Our bucks, on the other hand, they go through a square bell a little bit slower than the does, and so we have to make accommodations for their feeder. Now, okay, so Val is giving a true demonstration of what goats do. They browse, but she's kind of like, what is this? And she found like a little small weed that she's going to chew on that's not the Primula mint, which is surrounding it. But they do that. They browse. Okay, that's what Flower's doing. She's browsing. That's what Nova's doing. She's browsing. Okay. So the thing that is the most concerning about the feeding the round bells is one, you need to make sure that you set it a certain way, because if not, and we actually experienced this earlier this year with losing Fidela, to where if the round bells, to where they're the circle is on its side to where you can see it, if you just let it sit like that and let it feed, they create like this mushroom effect look. And with that, it kind of creates this, I mean, it's cool. We've seen it for years. It's like this little mushroom of a top, or teardrop, upside down teardrop, or whatever. Okay, so with the round bells, ow, you cannot bite me. You cannot bite me, Dorothy. Yeah, you cannot bite me. So, we feed them to where the side of them that shows the circle is on the ground now, and the other side is facing up. We've got some girls in heat. It's actually a little muggy out here this morning, but it's cooler than it has been in days. And so some of the girls are starting to go into heat, which is good, because we're going to start breeding here probably next week. But let's go back to the round bells real quick. So the only thing with the round bells is to where you need to make sure that of two things. One, wherever you feed it, you're able to clean up and dispose of it afterwards. So, like, here's our after hay from a hay bale. Unfortunately, we don't have access to a skid steer or tractor that has a bucket right now. And so that is sitting, which that's not good for the goats. It draws in moisture, it collects moisture, and although they're not going to eat on that, they're going to walk through it. And so in the springtime and stuff, or times of heavy rain, it is a potential to cause hoof rot. So if you have a hoof rot problem on your farm, it's usually due to an extreme amount of moisture in the ground where the goats walk. There are some other factors that can play into hoof rot, but this is one of the big ones. And then one of the other factors is that the hay, there's so much of it that goes to waste. So if you're able to put a panel, whether it be a cattle panel or a 2x2 squared panel, or something to where if you can wrap it around the hay bale and like maybe put a ratchet strap to hold that panel in place, and then you can put like a tarp, or I've seen people use tarps, or they've used just a big piece of plywood or something to put over it to protect it from the elements. And you can feed that way, and then there's less hay waste. Because whenever you get into hay waste, I'll show you over here, is, you know, you have like remnants of a bale, but then you have all this wasted hay all around it. And that is pretty much everywhere. Now this one is pretty old and it's starting to compost, but that's just some of the things to look for, and you can see it. This is one of the last places that we fed hay bale up here, as to where we fed one here, and then we fed one here, and all around that area is completely hay waste, where they bed down, they get into it, and that's also not good, as to where you don't want them to get into their own, you know, where they've gone to the bathroom. You don't want them to eat out of that. So grain, they need just a little bit of grain a day. It just helps to keep the nutrients and stuff on them. And then as far as minerals, they need access to minerals 24/7. It's very important for goats to have that. Let's see, I can't remember. I think right now we're feeding the Purina brand of loose mineral, but that's just because that was the only thing available at our Tractor Supply. We do have a co-op in our area, but they do have a goat mineral, but it's a hit and miss of if it's in stock. So that's the only problem there. So they need a little bit of grain. They need hay 24/7, fresh water 24/7. They need access to minerals 24/7. And they just need to make sure that, like, even with feeders, if you feed on the ground, just make sure that you're not feeding into where they've pooped or something. Clean it out before you feed them as far as grain goes. So just make sure that it's out of the way of the hay. Make sure that they're eating where they're not wasting. So thanks. And then as far as whenever we're at shows, it's same thing: fresh water, hay, a little bit of grain. Now the minerals is a little bit different, depending on how long they stay at a show. We might mix in some minerals to their grain, but usually our county fair is our longest show that we go to every year, and whenever we do that, we just kind of leave the mineral either at home or we just put it into their feed. So that's it. I hope y'all have liked this video. Please hit that like and subscribe. It really does help us out. And remember, take care of your goats best you can with feeding and nutrition. And sorry guys if I sound really tired, but I'm glad that y'all stuck with me through this video. And we will catch y'all in another video for the fair this week. Bye.